What's up guys, it's Trent and today I have a new style of video for you. I'll be reviewing YouTube thumbnails. After releasing my video on how to make YouTube thumbnails in Canva, I got a request from Breezzer's Gaming to give him feedback on his channel's YouTube thumbnails. I'll also be showing some design tips that anyone can use to make their thumbnails jump out more. If you have something you'd like me to review in a video, YouTube thumbnails, graphic design, print-on-demand products, leave a comment down below. So let's check out Breezzer's channel. First of all, I really like that I can instantly tell what the channel is about. It's clearly about gaming, and if I scroll down I can easily see what games he's covering. We have Hellblade, Everspace. It's quite clear what he covers. He started the channel in May and he already has 70 videos out, so he's been doing a great job making consistent content. Now let's look at the thumbnails specifically. I like that I can clearly tell what game he's playing. So the Hellblade and Everspace thumbnails very clearly tell me what I can expect. For the BioShock ones here, there's less text, but I think these characters are pretty iconic and will be recognized by people who are familiar with the games. Now let's look at some things that can make your thumbnails even more effective. So I downloaded some of your thumbnails and I've opened them here in Affinity Photo so we can get a closer look at them. Now as much as I like the central text in this thumbnail, what I have a hard time reading is the corner text. So on the top left you have your name, on the top right you have part 1. Now of course it's perfectly readable when I have it blown up on my big screen here, but let me zoom out. This is what it's going to look like when people are browsing YouTube. And from this distance, I really can't read any of that text. If I go back to your channel, you can see that the text in the corners is very hard to read. And I'm on a desktop PC. For people on phones, it'll be impossible to read what this says. So when you're designing your thumbnails, I recommend always zooming out at this level and making sure everything is still readable. Let me make it a little bit bigger again. I would say of these 4 corner words, probably walkthrough is the most important. So perhaps I'll just focus on that word, make it bigger, and put it in the middle here. Here's another example of a thumbnail with details that's just too small to read for most people. So if I zoom in here, I can see this is some type of screenshot from a game that shows some detail about weapons or something. But when I zoom out again, at this level it's very hard to see. But more importantly for this one, I would also recommend thinking about contrast. For example, green text on a white background tends to be quite difficult to read. Let's do an experiment here and let's recreate this with black text. Let's see how it looks in comparison. So I'll just create some speech bubble here. I'll create some text. Best devices. Let's resize it a bit. Make it something that kind of represents your font. So that's about the same size. If I zoom out, you can see the black on white is more readable than the green on white. And in fact, I think it's still a little too small. So I'd probably take that and make it even bigger. That would probably be more readable for most people. Something you've used in a couple thumbnails is this watermark feature here. So the text doesn't really stand out too much, but it's kind of blended in with the image. I'm kind of on the fence about this. I think it's a stylistic thing that could work. In general, I like to err on the side of the text being too bold and obvious as opposed to too subtle. But one thing you can try is YouTube's split test feature. This allows you to add 2 thumbnails to one video, and then YouTube will run an experiment to see which one is more popular. I think this is available to all YouTubers now. So if you go to your video page where you list all the videos you published, if you hover over one, you can click Details. And if you scroll down and click the 3 dots next to the thumbnail, you can choose Test and Compare. And when you do that, you can add up to 3 thumbnails. Let me show you what it looks like when an experiment's run. Here's one I did recently for my OBS video. So once the test is run, if you click the 3 dots, it'll say View Test Report. So if I click this, it'll show you which one got more watch time. And you can see in this example, one got 43% of watch time and the other got 56% of watch time. But you can see over here with the thumbnails, I didn't make a huge change. I just tweaked some of the colors. So back to your thumbnail here. To use this test feature, you don't need to make 2 completely different thumbnails, although some people do. But perhaps in one you could just make the text really big and bold and obvious. And then the other you could have your more subtle effect. And then you could upload them both and see which one performs better. Let's talk about some design tricks that could help your thumbnails stand out even more. And one thing I think you could experiment more with is what I call object isolation. So here we have this thumbnail here. And let's say we wanted to make this character on the right stand out even more. Maybe we wanted to put an outline around her, we wanted to increase her saturation, make her contrast more with the background. I'm in Affinity Photo, but this will work with any graphics design program. So what I'll do is I'll duplicate this layer. I'll just right click, duplicate. I'll call this one character. What I'll do is I'll use the selection brush here. And then I'll select the character. I'll just select around her here. I'll use the brackets to adjust the size. Doesn't need to be the best selection ever. We'll be able to modify it later. So now I have her selected. Now I'm going to mask her out from the background. So I'm going to click Mask Layer here. And if I hide the background, you can see she's just standing by herself here. So I don't need to select her anymore. I'll press Ctrl D. Let me show the background again. Now one thing you can do is add an outline to this character. So with this level selected, I'll click the FX button. And I'll select outline. Be sure to check the box. I'll make the color white. And I'll increase the radius. So I'll close this. And if I zoom in here, we can see that there's an outline for this character now. Now if I want it to be smoother, what I can do is alter the mask around the edges. So with my mask selected, I'll click a brush. I'll just select a basic round brush. And with black selected, I can smooth the edges a little bit. I'll smooth down here. It's up to you how you want it to look. Looks like there's some pixels over here that are getting picked up. Let me erase that. I think some of these arrows aren't quite correct. Let me erase this in here. So you can see the outline effect is dynamically changing as I erase. Now for a YouTube thumbnail, you don't have to be exact for these things, because people aren't going to be looking that closely. So I think that's a good enough outline right there. Now the interesting thing is with my character selected, I can resize her. So I'll click the Move tool, and I can make her bigger. Maybe I can put her there like that. So this is before, after, before, after. Now what I can also do is increase her saturation and vibrance. So with the character layer selected, I'll click my adjustments here. And I'll click vibrance. So I'll increase it. Maybe even saturation too. I can also adjust the curves. Let's see what that looks like. I'll select curves. Let's make it a little bit brighter. I'll make the shadows a little bit darker. This is a very subtle S-curve adjustment here. We could also selectively increase saturation. So she has these blue accent colors here. Let me add an HSL adjustment. Select blue. I can dial that one up there. That seems to be affecting the armband here in the waist. I think her neck scarf is more of this teal. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that's that there. We can increase the saturation on that. So I think that helps her stand out a little bit more. So let's toggle these before and after. So before, after, before, after. Now one thing I want to do is add some text over here. And I think with this other character here, it's going to look too noisy. So I kind of want this area to be a little more blank. So I'll add a pixel layer. I'll put it above my background layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the inpainting brush tool. And make sure you select current layer and below when you do this. I'll select current layer and below. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase this character here. And she's gone. Maybe I'll clean it up a little bit there. I'll get rid of this. I see a duplicated U there. I'll just keep going over some of the areas to reduce the duplication here. Now once again, this is for a YouTube thumbnail, so we don't need to have exact perfect background here. If this is going to be shown in a museum or something, we'd be much more careful, but this is going to be covered by text. So before, after, before, after. So let's add some text in this space here. I noticed you had this term let's play over here. Let's make that bigger. So with the text tool, I'll type let's play. Let's make this word really stand out and contrast. So I'll give it a font. I like this Anton font. It's pretty thick and bulky. Now I'm going to make the text yellow. Let's make it pure yellow. You can choose whatever color you like. But of course yellow doesn't contrast well with this background, but it does contrast well with black. So I'll draw a black square behind the text. Let's make it black. Put the text above it. Let's center that word in there. And I'll group these together. So from this level, I think it stands out really well. Let's put in the title of the game. Horizon Forbidden West. We'll make this white. Let's resize. Let's give it a more futuristic looking font. Let me see what I have on my system here. This one, Detacher, is cool. Looks kind of sci-fi. Now, if you do want to use white text on a light background, a good way to make it contrast is to give a black outline. So with these words selected, I'll select FX. Once again, I'll go to outline. I'll check this. And let's give it a little bit of an outline there. I think it looks pretty cool. While we're here, let's give it a drop shadow. So I'll say outer shadow. This will make it contrast a little bit more. So there we have an outer shadow too. Kind of want the word horizon to be bigger. Maybe to add a little bit of variety to these bottom two words, I'll change the color. Let's give it some type of futuristic blue. Something like a light cyan. I like that there. Maybe I'll add a slight gradient to this top word here, so I'll choose the gradient tool. I'll click and drag. And I don't want it to be that dark, but I'll make it kind of grayish. Just a slight thing there. Let's center all of this. I forgot to add the character back in. Let's add her in. So she's there. Let's group all the text together. I'll call it text. Let's zoom out. I think it's pretty readable there. One thing I noticed is her arrows are kind of doubling up over here. Let's go back to our inpainting pixel layer. I'll just paint that out again. See what happens. Sometimes you have to hit it a couple times. I think that area looks better now. So here's our final result. And let's see if it passes the zoom out test. I'll zoom out. I think it's pretty readable even from this distance. So this would really be easy to see on a mobile device too. And there's other tweaks you could make if you wanted. You could take out these corner texts in your template. And for your own image over here, you could increase the contrast and vibrance of that also so it stands out more. So before, after. Before, after. Thanks for volunteering your channel, Breezzer, and best of luck going forward with your videos. If any of you watching out there want a thumbnail or design review, feel free to leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.